Okay, I've got 12 noon here on Commonwealth Avenue. We'll go ahead and get started. Hi everybody, thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Creatives Are No Longer the Rock Stars of Marketing. My name is Jeff Murphy. I'm an Associate Director in the BU Alumni Relations Office, as well as a proud alumnus from the 2006 class of the BU Graduate School of Management. I'm delighted, as always, that you've chosen to join us for our professional development webinar series. Before we really dive in, a few brief housekeeping notes. As you know by now, this webinar is being hosted on the Adobe Connect online meeting platform. If you experience any trouble at all with the audio or visual portions of this presentation, please go ahead and contact Adobe Connect directly at the following phone number, which hopefully you see in front of you if you want to make a note of it. It's 1-800-422-3623. Today's presentation is being recorded and will soon be made available for on-demand viewing on the BU Alumni Association website, which you can find at www.bu.edu/alumni. Our speaker today is very eager to answer any questions that you have, and you're welcome to submit questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A box that you should see at the bottom of your screen. So at any point, just go ahead and type in your question, and our presenter will try to get to it during the course of her presentation. We'll also have a few minutes at the end just to go over any questions that are remaining. We hope to get to as many as we can during today's webinar. We have a special guest joining us today, BU Alumni Council Member Jenny Gruber. Jenny, thanks for being here today. I was hoping that you could share just a few minutes about your role with the BU Alumni Council before introducing today's speaker. So take it away.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jeff. And hello, BU alumni. I'm happy to be here today as an alumna of the College of Engineering class of 1999. I'm representing the Boston University Alumni Council, which is the volunteer leadership group of the BU Alumni Association. The council is made up of nearly 40 alumni who come from various backgrounds and demographics and represent each of the schools and colleges that make up BU. And what I like about the BUAC is that we don't just plan parties and ask people to donate money, although we do that. But our council members serve as an important voice to university leadership, and we work actively to engage alumni in meaningful ways with the university, with one another. So I really enjoy being able to serve BU and my fellow alumni in such an organized, focused way. For the council, I serve on a task force of 6 members who help ensure that the Alumni Association is supporting BU alumni as they advance through their careers. And I really like serving in this way because in general I enjoy helping people with career development and reaching their full potential. In that spirit, I want to make sure that I mention that today's professional development webinar is sponsored by the BU Alumni Association, and it's offered to 300,000 alumni around the globe. Throughout your career, the BU Alumni Association is committed to helping you define and achieve your professional goals. And we aim to do this by providing alumni with access to a series of valuable online tools and social media communities, including this webinar series. So speaking as a member of the Alumni Council, it's important to me that we get your opinion on how we're doing. So we very much look forward to receiving your feedback, and you'll get a survey via email later today. I really hope that you'll take some time to fill out that survey. I personally am joining you from Houston, Texas, but I know we have participants from around the U.S. and around the world today, and no matter where you are, please know that we really do value your opinion on this and every program we offer, and your opinions contribute to our decisions regarding these programs, so please fill out the survey. Now it's my pleasure to introduce today's featured speaker. Laura Mete Frizzell is a BU alumna of both the School of Management and the Graduate School of Management, and currently serves as Senior Vice President of Media Services for 360i, a firm in Atlanta, Georgia. One of the pioneers of online media, Laura has been a leader in the companies who've embraced and guided others through disruption in marketing for over 20 years. Since graduating from BU's MS MBA program in 2004, she's been leading 360i's digital media practice. In that time, 360i has become recognized by Adweek, Ad Age, Forrester, and Fast Company as a leading agency helping marketers navigate the disruptive forces of digital media. From 360i's award-winning illustration of real-time marketing with the Oreo tweet, to their data, technology, and analytics steeped work with revenue marketers such as Capital One and Equifax, 360i helps the world's top marketers put digital at the center of their marketing strategies. Laura's digital media background dates back to 1995 and includes launching the digital media department at Deutsch in New York, developing an award-winning online media campaign for Tanqueray that made one of the first uses of rich media, and running the Boston office of media contacts while they were developing Artemis, one of the industry's early data warehouses built to collect and mine digital media data. Laura, on behalf of the BU Alumni Council, thanks so much for your time today, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Is my microphone working?
I can hear you, yes.
All right, then I'm going to assume everyone can hear me. Wonderful. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining me for this topic. This is a topic that Jeff will tell you I actually have a lot of passion for, this concept that creatives are no longer the rock stars of marketing. And some of the trends that I'm going to talk to you about are things that I really saw starting to take shape more than 10 years ago. So really that's kind of where the story begins. At the time, more than 10 years ago, I was running a media department at a digital agency in Boston, and what they wanted to do was really transform marketing by delivering at the cross-section of digital marketing, technology, and analytics. So what does that mean? We were building a data warehouse that would collect information from the digital programs that marketers were running, and you could overlay on top of that your schedules for TV and radio, and you could figure out, based on mining through this data, what was really driving the results of your business to the extent that people were ordering and doing things online, which of course was booming and growing 10, 12 years ago. So this was a really valuable thing. We had a head of analytics at the time who would talk to our clients about sort of going through this data, words like cluster analysis. I had no idea what he was talking about, but what I knew is that what we wanted to deliver on was really going to be valuable. So we had barely started the company on this mission when the dot-bomb hit, and it hit hard, and advertising was in a tailspin, and marketers were not interested in really doing much in advertising, and certainly not those banners and buttons and digital advertising. So, we would go out and we would talk to our clients and our prospects about what we were doing, and they would just sit there with a glazed look on their face. They weren't interested. Despite how everything we could see, the consumer usage was going digital. And our CEO would start joining some of these meetings, and he would just ask some simple questions. He would ask a question like, do you have a lot of data that's coming into your, do you have a CRM system? Yes. Do you have a lot of data you find from different programs coming in there? You're having a hard time really figuring out how to segment your customers, figure out how to market to them better. Oh yes, they were having trouble with that. Could you use some help in defining who maybe some of your best customers are and your not so great customers, and how to message and talk to them differently? Oh yeah, they wanted that. So these were the things that they were interested in, and I saw this happen time after time. They didn't want or need slick ads or creative ideas. They knew they needed to better understand data, and they didn't know how to get there. So time went on, the dot-bomb continued to wreak havoc. One thing led to another, and I did end up deciding it was a good time for me to go back to grad school. I had been wanting to get an MBA for a number of years, but it was BU's MS MBA that really drew me in, because I really remembered how marketers were struggling with data and technology. And I chose the program because I believed that the MS, as somebody who had no idea what was going on when our head of product development said data warehouse, I knew how important it was to understand that as a marketer. And what was really surprising to me in the program is how few marketers at that time, how few people in the marketing program, in the marketing concentration, were also pursuing the MS. They didn't see it coming. I couldn't believe they couldn't see how important this was going to be to them. So, that was 10 years ago. A lot's changed in 10 years. So here's what I can tell you. It's a decade later, and I can tell you that Don Draper, he would still be valued in marketing today. He's a storyteller. He has innate abilities to understand what people desire, but he would not be the same standalone superstar that he would have been in 1970. These guys are the new rock stars of marketing. So over the next 20 to 30 minutes, what I would like to talk to you about are 3 different things that I believe marketers should ignore only at their peril. And some of these things you might be familiar with. And actually, Jeff, we forgot the first poll. That's probably okay. But this is probably a good time to queue up the second poll, which is the first one I'm going to talk about is big data. And I'd love through the polling system to hear from folks on how familiar they are with some of these concepts of big data. If I were talking to you about this, 2-3 years ago, I suspect that the number would be small. But over the last few years, it's pretty hard to turn any page in Adweek or any other sort of marketing publication and not hear something about the 7 ways in which you could use big data. All right, I'm seeing this come in real time. And you know what, Jeff? I can't see my presentation based on how this is coming up. Do you know if there's a way to move it over to the side, or is it just keep going?
I can move that away as soon as you like. I just want to make sure that you saw the results.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, they're still coming in, but it looks like we've got about 58% or somewhat. The majority are in the somewhat camp. And then sort of split after that between very and not at all. So let me talk a little bit about big data. Now, if you were to look it up, if you Googled it, it would be defined as being every possible kind of data out there that you could use. When I'm thinking about big data in my job right now and in my role, what I'm really mostly thinking about is all of the unstructured data that is coming at marketers. It's coming from Facebook. It's coming from your website. It's coming from your call center, Twitter, YouTube, Google, your point of sale systems, right? It's all coming at you. And most marketers are not really equipped to deal with all of this. Big data has become a big buzzword, but it isn't an end in and of itself. It isn't actually a business strategy. But by being able to navigate the hordes of data that are coming to you in an unstructured way in real time, and adding to that some of the structured data you may have in your own databases on your customers, marketers can move from what I would call an interruptive state of communicating to their customers and just telling them what you want them to hear, to more of a supportive state, where you are speaking to them in ways that make sense to them, in environments that make sense to them, and telling them the things that are most interesting to them. And if you know what to do with all of this data and what questions to ask that mining that data could answer for you, you can work marketing magic. So data and data analytics, it's been, if you are in marketing, it's been a really integral part of the lives of direct marketers for a long time. But I've always felt that 10 years ago, direct marketers were seen as some lower class of marketers, not the real marketers, not the people doing the groundbreaking, award-winning, meaningful stuff. All that's changed in recent years as consumers have become more digitally centric and with the rise of digital marketing and the data that comes with it. So I propose that we need to define what groundbreaking means in marketing today. So I'll tell you a story. Every year, my company holds a marketing summit every year where our senior clients attend, and we have speakers showing their case studies from their most groundbreaking, innovative stuff that they're doing. Now, my company does a lot of very innovative, creative work. You may have heard of the Oreo tweet that ran during the Super Bowl blackout a number of years ago, received coverage everywhere from Today to the industry publications. You may have heard about the American bacon barter, where a man drives from New York to LA with no cash or credit cards and only bacon to barter with. That was us as well. We do a lot of groundbreaking, creative, award-winning work. So you can imagine, as these senior marketers are standing and talking about their most groundbreaking work, and it's filled with videos and images and case studies that is inspiring and visually as well as creatively inspiring. That's what our summit looks like. And then one of our senior marketers from my financial services takes the stage. His presentation had no pictures, it had no videos. This is approximately what it looked like and what he said. Very dryly, he said, As direct marketers, we believe that data modeling can unlock revenue. We asked ourselves if we could come up with the equation for delivering the right message to the right audience, in the right media channel, in the right market, in the right sequence at the right time. My team figured out that equation, and I was able to uncover $70 million in revenue for the company. That was it. Well, a room full of brand marketers with all of their inspiring video case studies, they sat straight up there in their chairs and they took notice of that $70 million number. And later on, when we had breakout sessions with the one that was on media mix modeling and attribution was one of the most populars. And it was filled with those brand marketers who wanted that equation. So I'll ask you, with all of this great, inspiring, groundbreaking creative work that's out there, what is groundbreaking in today's marketing environment? Unlocking $70 million with an equation, I think, is pretty groundbreaking. And so did most of the other folks in the room. A colleague of mine from the same financial service companies was talking to me, and he told the story of how the outgoing CMO of his company was having lunch with the head of, I won't name the company, but it's a recognizable media entertainment company, a very large media entertainment company. And the head of that media entertainment company turned to him and said, "When did the nerds become in control of everything? That's who the new rock stars are." All right, so what have we learned? We've learned that by thinking creatively about the problem at hand and the data at your disposal, as well as having a partnership with folks in data analytics, you can develop a scientific method for generating revenue. And by the way, do not get excited about that equation up there. That's not it. I just made that up to represent the concept that marketers, by partnering with analytics, can scientifically come up with models to generate revenue. To be really clear, though, data analysis, and there are no shortage of companies that are just doing data analysis and just for the purposes of analysis, data analysis without the creativity to imagine what might be possible is meaningless. It's really the combination of creativity and math that becomes very powerful. So that's direct response. But I already said if you were in direct response, then data and analytics was something, and data modeling was something that has been important for a long time, just perhaps with renewed importance as so much more as data is coming at us and so much more can be transacted online. But what if you're a brand marketer? What if it's not that easy to buy your product online? Should you care about big data and should you care about analytics? Doesn't creative and messaging, inspiring with storytelling still win the day? Well, a couple of years ago at my company, we hosted some marketing students from a nearby university. And we wanted to introduce them to 360i and digital marketing. And so I opened up the day with an overview of digital media. And I use a lot when I'm doing Media 101s this double-sided arrow because it really helps me for folks who are really just being introduced to media and marketing to outline their different objectives. Some are more direct response, some are more branding, and I talk about the ways in which you want to deliver on different kinds of objectives for clients. So when I was talking about this, I mentioned that for direct response initiatives, you need to be able to measure ROI, and I told them how analytics, as I've just told you, is shaping marketing. And I said, if you got into marketing so you wouldn't have to be around math, then that might have been a mistake. And I said it to be inspiring, and I say it a lot, and usually people, their faces glow, they're excited with the possibilities. Well, this group, man, their faces just fell. It was clear that they had gotten into marketing to avoid a quant field. They wanted to think creative, strategic thoughts. But I went on and I started talking about branding. And a few minutes later, a very brave student hesitantly raised her hand. And I called on her, and she very bravely asked, "Do you have to know math if you're doing the brand stuff?" So I know a lot's changed in 3 years. I think we've reached a point where in marketing it's hard to get away from concepts of big data. And I really hope that marketing students are no longer picking the field of marketing as the equivalent of a safety school. But to answer their question, what I said was perhaps less so. Maybe you can get away with it, but in today's marketing world, you're not going to make it to CMO. So let's talk about how creativity combined with data modeling and an analytics partner can make you a better brand marketer. If you are a brand marketer, you're probably thinking about how to aggregate and make sense of all the chatter about your brands on social networks and to understand sentiment. Sentiment is an indicator to understand if people are positive or negative. It's the new market research that a lot of brand marketers are using to understand how people think and feel about their brands, what they're saying. And there's a lot of off-the-shelf software that can come to your aid. But what if you weren't satisfied with this? What if you wanted to creatively push the boundaries? And what if you had an analytics partner? You could do a lot more. You could ask yourself, you could ask questions. You could ask questions like, well, is it possible to determine where in the social path sentiment changes from positive to negative? Yes, you can. Is it possible to find out the characteristic of the folks who are negatives? Yes, you can. You might even ask, can we segment those people and figure out how to market to them differently? Or maybe we can manage them differently as customers. Yes, you can. Can we test different ways to message to them? Yes, you can. But probably not. You can't do all this with the off-the-shelf product. Probably you need to partner with someone who has the ability to mine that data and customize or maybe create a slightly different kind of a tool. But let's take it further. Let's take it beyond social listening, which I think is just one variation on this theme. Can we mine the data that's coming from our digital campaigns and better define who our target audience is, right? We have, as marketers, been trained to think of our target audience as women, 25 to 49, because that's what TV allowed us to target. But that's really just a holdover. Are there maybe micro-targets that we can message to? Yes, we can find that out by mining the data that's coming in from our digital campaigns. Could we find out that even though we defined our targets as moms, there's some micro-target of single dads that are coming to our site that we can message differently to? Yes, the digital information coming from your campaigns, you can figure that out. You can mine and figure that out. Could we find out that even though we know we predominantly sell it in the northeast area of the U.S., there seems to be some people responding to our marketing coming from Florida? Yeah, you could find that out. Can you infer anything about their interests? Yes, you can infer that. So, does all of this sound valuable to a brand marketer? I think it does. And as a marketer who talks to a lot of other marketers, I have found that these kind of questions, these creative questions to push the envelope beyond what the off-the-shelf software tells you is very valuable to them. But again, you have to have the combination of the creativity and the problem-solving skills to ask the right kinds of questions along with the right partners to help you get to those answers. And perhaps even rethink the question. So, if you are a brand marketer, you can use that data. You can use it to refine or even redefine who your customers are and constantly have this feedback loop, not based on just the market research that says, here's who my customers are, but constantly be refining and redefining who they are and how to better segment and target them based on what you're seeing in the data that's coming through to you. And I think that's valuable even to brand marketers. So there's two more things I want to talk to you about, and they are actually both related to big data. The first one is DMPs, or digital marketing platforms. And I have another poll for you. I'm interested in knowing, of the group that's listening, your familiarity with digital marketing platforms. I had a bet with Jeff that there would be a larger level of familiarity with big data than there was with DMPs. But as I see the results coming in, what I see here is about 51%, 50-ish roughly percent say somewhat, only 10 very familiar, but then a large number, about 40%, said never heard it. Okay, heard of it. So that doesn't surprise me too much. Let me talk to you just a little bit about DMPs. All right, I found this graphic doing a Google image search, and it claims to reflect Microsoft's digital marketing platform. Now, for full disclosure, it's a couple years old. I don't know if it actually reflects anything that Microsoft currently offers today, but I wanted to use it here to convey something really important about DMPs. They're really complicated, and as a marketer, you need to navigate something that you might have preferred to let IT do previously. So let's talk about what it is. ABCs of DMPs. A DMP, I just talked to you about all the data inputs that you have. A DMP is used to organize and use these data inputs. So I put up here 2000 people were talking about CRM. We could argue it was before 2000 that was happening, but it's in the last maybe 15 years or so that people were really trying to make, marketers are trying to make much better and greater use of their CRM systems. 2014, marketers are talking about digital marketing platforms. A DMP is more actionable than a CRM database. What it does is it combines the internal data that would have gone into your CRM database along with the data that's flowing in from all of these different platforms and campaigns, and it's very quickly actionable to be able to push out marketing and messaging using your digital marketing platforms. So that be email, it could be digital media, it could be any of those things. It's a lot more real time. And it's a faster way to test and learn about a lot of those micro targets I was talking about. You can much more quickly mine through the data coming in to identify what those micro targets might be. You can very quickly then push out messaging via either email or digital marketing to those micro targets and test different things. So it's a little more actionable. So how might you use this? If you are So an example, for example, if you're a brand marketer, let's say you're Crest, right? Wouldn't you love to have a data input on people who have bought Colgate on their credit card and then know how to find them online and then send them a Crest coupon? That's an example of how you can use it. So as I said before, it helps you discover and target the micro segments. It helps you identify the most and least valuable segments. What do you as a marketer, if you've never heard of this before, what do you need to know about it? Well, I think the first thing is that you need to understand it well enough to know what you can achieve from a DMP. I've given you a really high-level overview of what it is. That's what you need to know. You need to understand it well enough to know what it can do for you. And then you might want some help in defining what your objectives should be with the DMP. Like big data, you want to bite it off in chunks, right? Big data is not like a let's just go mine big data. That's not what you want to do with big data. You want to ask the discrete questions that you can go you can look at the data to go answer. Very similar with DMPs, and it's very easy to say like, well, I just want to. I've actually had this happen. We've had clients that we work with who are like, well, I just want to. My goal with my DMP is to create hundreds of segments. I just want to create as many segments as possible. That's my objective, to create lots of segments. That wouldn't be a good objective. A better objective would be to discover what the most and least valuable segments are. That's a better objective. So make sure you are thinking about what you want to get out of this technology solution productively to get the most out of it. And then the last piece really is partner. If you are like me, if you are at the core a marketing person and not a technology person, partner with someone tech-oriented to make sure you can deploy it in a way that will meet your marketing needs. And that might be someone from your IT group, but it might also be somebody who is more marketing-oriented with a technology background. There's a growing number of folks who are comfortable and comfortably navigating this marketing technology space. Okay, the last thing I want to talk to you about is API data. Now, I mentioned big data before, and API data, that could technically fall into the broader category of big data. But when I said earlier, I'm thinking about big data, I'm thinking about as like all the unstructured stuff that's coming at you as a marketer. API data is structured data. It's structured data. There's a lot of structured data out there. It's free and it's accessible for marketers to access and use if you're creative enough to come up with an idea for how to use it. So these are just a couple. I couldn't even come up with a full list of all kinds of API data, but these are just a couple of different examples. You can get weather data via API, flight cancellation, real estate listings, movie ratings. The list is even longer. And my company, what we did is we actually had an API contest to come up with as many different ways to use API data that was free and accessible to improve our marketing campaigns for our clients. And so these were just some of the things that we use. So for example, using weather data, we had a client who sells vacations to the Caribbean. So what we did is tapping into API weather data. What we did is whenever there was like a deep freeze in a particular region, a particular state, city, or part of the country, we were spending a lot more money on digital marketing to that region to try and encourage people to go book Caribbean vacations. And it worked. It worked really well because when it's 70 degrees in February, maybe you're not thinking about When you're having a spring thaw in February, you might not be thinking so much about the Caribbean. But believe me, when it's 32 in April, you're thinking to yourself, "Get me out of here!" Right? So it worked very well. It was very efficient use of our clients' dollars to find ways to use the weather to, at that moment in time, send out the right messaging to the right person who we thought would be more responsive. This is another example that we're going to run for you. This is actually a campaign that we submitted for some awards. And Jeff, do I run this, or do you run this from your side?
No, I'll take care of pulling it up.
Okay.
Everyone, what Laura's referring to is we're going to try to show a video for the first time on one of these webinars. In getting ready for our presentation today, what Laura and I found out was that this video might run at different speeds for all of our participants based on your download rates. And so some of you might experience a little bit of video choppiness. For some of you, it might not end as quickly as others. So what I would ask is just be patient with us, and we might add a couple extra seconds on the end to make sure that everybody gets to see the video. So Laura, if it's okay, I'll go ahead and play that now.
Yep, that sounds great.
$922 flight cancellations today. That's on top of the 5,000 we had on Sunday and Monday.
A snowstorm beats a jet aircraft every time.
What do you do as a consumer?
Laura, this just wrapped up on my end. Is it okay on your end?
Yep, it's good on my end. So hopefully most of you out there got to see that without too much interruption. But to talk about it just a little bit, someone had a clever idea, and to give you a little bit of background on Red Roof Inn. The thing about Red Roof Inn is that everybody drives to go to Red Roof Inn. It's a hotel in the U.S. Everybody drives to go there. They don't really get a lot of people coming from airports. And they really didn't want to market toward people coming in at the airports. They didn't feel like that was very valuable for them. It cost them. That was not really where their core audience was. But we had this idea that, you know, well, maybe that's a new audience, an additional audience we can come and get to come to the Red Roof Inn if we are able to kind of get ahead of flight cancellations. If we know that at O'Hare flights have been canceled, and we know that people are searching for hotel by O'Hare Airport, then we can just put in there a message that says flight canceled. It speaks to them. Not only are you spending money more efficiently by running the ad at that moment in time because flights have been canceled, but you're also able to speak to them with really relevant creative. Flight canceled? Why, yes, my flight has been canceled. So it was really a clever idea, and you can see from the case here, it had really great results for this particular marketer. But what I thought was even more clever was not this idea. I thought what was really clever was the head of our product development saying that, you know, he didn't want to just build out a widget, right? A feed of data for Red Roof Inn. What he wanted to create was a whole platform, and that we marketers, we could think of any API data that we could possibly think of that we wanted to trigger any possible response we could think of. It could be raise bids, change the creative, turn it off, turn it on, you know, whatever we want to do. And we could just tie those two things together because he was going to develop a platform to allow us to do that. And you media and marketing people, you go crazy with creativity because that's what I'd like to build for you. That was a clever idea, was to build something like that. So you know, it's really more than just, to me, you know, the idea. There are ways with, again, the right partners, you can be bigger than a single idea. You can make something more expansive for your organization if you have the right partners in technology and in analytics.
Hey, Laura?
Yes.
Sorry, before we move on, I just wanted to, I know we had some people chat in and let us know that they weren't able to see the entire video, and for that I do apologize. Laura, my question for you, you obviously shared a link with me where I could see the video online. Would it be okay with you if maybe I posted that on our BU Alumni Association LinkedIn group as a discussion so that people can maybe try to watch the video without any of these technical problems?
Absolutely, and in fact, I don't remember which link I sent you, but it exists on the 360i website under case study. So if that's not the link I sent to you, let me send you that one, and that would be the perfect one for them to go in and look at.
Great. So I will...
not going to get taken down anytime soon.
Great. Thanks. Go ahead.
Okay, great. All right, so if you are a non-math, non-tech creative marketer, all of this sounds kind of overwhelming, and you're wondering what do I do about this, right? If you're feeling like that person, that student who very meekly raised their hand and wondered if there was any part of marketing where they wouldn't have to deal with math and tech, then what I'd like to do is maybe just give you a little bit of advice on how I've learned to successfully navigate this as someone who has no more than light training in analytics. That I got it in the graduate program at Boston University, and even less competency in computer science and technology. I like to tell people I'm a complete technophobe. The first thing, you've got to find your partners. You've got to find your partners. I said it a couple times. You've got to find your partners in technology and data. At 360i, my partners are the head of analytics and our head of product development. And I tell them all the time that you know, whatever we're doing in media and in marketing, we are mere mortals without them. They really take the stuff that we do and they make it award-winning. They raise our work up to godlike status. It's because of them that we win our awards and we win our clients. It's important to say that they are true partners, and in some organization there's some sort of add-on, you know, report into IT kind of folks. They are true partners. It's not, they don't just implement what I tell them. I don't direct them on where to go. I tell them what my questions are, but then they help me to see how to improve the questions I could or should be asking from their teams.
Laura, we have a question from Kevin, if you don't mind getting to it.
Sure, I will. Anytime.
So Kevin's asking, can you discuss some of the specific skills in computer science or analytics that would be highly valuable today?
A little bit. I'm going to get to that a little bit later, but I will say, you know, I think that, can you let me get to the end, if that's okay? I'm going to talk about that a little bit in just another slide or two toward the end here, and if there's sort of additional questions about that, I'll do my best to answer it. Would that be all right?
Sounds great.
All right,
Go right
great.
ahead.
All right, so I mentioned find your partners, right? So it's been, I think, probably 3 years since Forrester first recommended the introduction of a Chief Marketing Technologist Office. as part of the marketing department. Dotted line to CIO, it's part of the marketing department though. Now if you are a marketer, this is a structured way to think about how to bring in a partner who can introduce more technology and analytics to marketing departments. So whether in this particular model it report up to the CMO, it could be more of a partner to that sort of marketing lead. But the idea really is to introduce somebody into the organization who can really be a partner to marketers. And then the last piece I think is to reorient. And again, I'm speaking to marketers right now. So how do you need to reorient? One is, you know, you were probably trained to do market research, and what you need to think about is data analytics. You need at least some light training, understanding of analytics and how it's different. You have the access to all the data you need based on the responses you're getting from your emails, and all of that allows you to segment your database and test. So you can listen passively, and you can ask intelligent questions. Second thing that you want to think about is changing from statistical modelers to data scientists. So a statistical modeler, you know, the head of our analytics group, he tells a great anecdote. A statistical modeler will create segments, and he will cause you to market the same way to George Bush and to Mick Jagger. They're both men of a certain age. But a data scientist will see the difference between George and Mick. Data scientists are a little bit more algorithmically oriented. They both have analytics training, but the data scientist has a little bit more econometric training and can do maybe a little bit of programming. Knows analytics and can handle big data without a program like SAS because he's customizing programs and he's maybe a little bit more hacky. So that hopefully answers some of the questions about, you know, what are some of the skills that you want to acquire if you do have a computer science background. I think that the programming skills are great, but I think overlaying that with more analytics training, data analytics, and sort of like understanding of algorithms, that I think is very important as well. Think about programmers versus engineers. So the next generation is really analytics as opposed to engineering, programmers with a penchant for algorithms. So, you know, again, this is quoting our head of analytics here. He says he looks for computer science nerds with a penchant for algorithms. That's what he's looking for. And then again, if you're a marketer, you need to think about culture, salary, and competition. The competition for folks with these skills I just managed is fierce. Somebody with this sort of hacker penchant might not fit in well with your culture. So to the extent that you are working with a partner, maybe a chief marketing technologist, you want them to bring in the equivalent of interns. You need somebody who is the equivalent of, you know, has his background, is a little bit more hacky, that CMT, that chief marketing technology, can take under their wing. Because if they've been doing this for a year or two, they're going to a startup. You also need to provide a flexible environment for those interns to thrive. Okay. If you happen to identify with one of these people, if you're looking at those folks and saying, that feels like me, I will say, we need you. I don't know if folks with this computer science background have thought about marketing as one of the first places to go and work. I was speaking to a colleague who has just that. He does have a computer science background. He now runs the marketing department for one of our clients. He is, you know, one of the smartest marketers we've worked with, to be honest with you, because of his computer science background, because of his strong background in analytics. And one of the things he said to me is, you know, when you come in with this, I didn't think I wanted to get into marketing at all. He goes, because people like me were kind of intimidated by the marketers. So I guess what I'll say is that we need folks like this in marketing. We need more folks who are like this. Marketing is a fun field. It's a creative field. It can be a playful field. It can be even a little bit less structured than some other fields. So I would say, you know, think about the environment that you want to work in when you're thinking about what you want to do with your career. I would also say that if you are somebody who kind of fits the mold of what I'm talking about, there are certain industries and maybe even certain keywords that you're looking for in your search. So anything related to search marketing or programmatic display, programmatic media and buying we need folks with this sort of computer science / data analytics background. That would be a great place to find opportunities. There are industries like financial services and travel that are already very comfortable and steeped in data. These are places where you will see a marketing analytics department as part of their organization. These are places to look as well. And then I guess my final thoughts here are to say, it didn't come across already. These two worlds, I think, need to come together just a little bit. So if you are the Don Draper out there, you need to get more comfortable with being able to understand and speak intelligently about the data, about technology and data that is driving marketing. But if you are a great storyteller, then you can bring to life what folks maybe who are only thinking about the math may have a harder time doing. At the same time, if you're that math, quant, analytics, computer science guy, there's an opportunity for you as you grow in your own career to become better at telling the story of what you're doing and why it's important, become a better storyteller, and be able to represent your work better, because it's really important in marketing today. So I envision these two worlds kind of being able to collide, I think, at the senior most levels in marketing moving forward. And that's it. I'll thank you and see what other questions there are at this time.
Great, thanks, Laura. Again, everybody, please feel free to use the Q&A chat box that you see at the bottom of your screen. While we're waiting for a couple questions to come in, thanks to my friend Gabe, who did a little sleuthing while we were discussing the video, and he texted in the actual website on the 360i website where you can see that Red Roof Inn video. I just put it up on a chat box. Hopefully everybody can see it. But you can view the video, hopefully without interruption, at www.360i.com/work/red-roof-in with another slash at the end. So make note of that. But we will go ahead and I'll post a link on our 360i, or excuse me, on our LinkedIn group page. We do have a bunch of questions coming in, Laura, and I'm glad we have a few minutes to talk about some of these. Can you talk, Sean texted in with, can you talk a little bit about how data and analytics has affected the concept of integrated marketing and the marketing mix? Meaning across channels such as inbound, social, direct, advertising, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I think that media mix modeling, which has been a part of marketing for a long time, I think that that is probably one of the greatest areas. When you think about your channel and your mix, is thinking about where to spend the next dollar. That's what we spend actually a lot of time with our clients, is helping them to understand where they should spend the next dollar. It would be what a lot of these sort of like analytics groups do is they'll kind of apply a certain amount of standard rigor to measure weight of certain media and then measure impact based on the weight of that. It's kind of a more, I want to use the word, a more simple regression. Not that necessarily anything about regression can be all that simple, but it's a little bit more simple. But I think one of the mistakes that are made that you can do to enhance it is to understand not just the weight, and this is one of the reasons why I think there has been very little spent in digitals, because it's been such a small amount of weight in digital that it's hard to understand how it's really making an impact, but not just the weight of the media, but perhaps the quality of it, right? So maybe you don't want to just look at how many views, how many impressions are served, how many commercials, the equivalent of commercials are out there, but what is the quality of it, right? You might want to wait, you can have an impression in social media, like somebody saw my ad, right? And that carries a certain amount of weight, but don't you think it should carry a different kind of weight if somebody not only saw it, but responded to it, or passed it along, or their friends saw it as well? That should be a different quality of weighting. So I think taking some of the more standard ways of thinking about media mix modeling and adding in more quality factors to improve upon that equation is one of the ways, I think, in which we can continue to make that better.
Great. We got another really interesting question that I think will be a tough one for you. Can you provide some suggestions for a small shop of, maybe less than 10 people who need to work on some of these things, but the resources, time, and budget are limited? What would you recommend as maybe some baby steps towards working towards some of these ideas?
I'm going to go back, I think, to partnership. So, let's take analytics, right? There are plenty of partners that I think you can align with on analytic, like Visual IQ is one that comes to mind right away. So you don't have to become masters in it yourself. You can create a partnership with other companies that become not only the arm that kind of represents these kinds of things to client, but also can help educate you along the way. So Visual IQ, again, there's others. It just comes to mind right now. It's one that we sometimes do partner with at 360i as well. DMPs I talked about. So again, there are companies that do this. They have created their digital marketing platform, and they would love nothing more than to kind of be your go-to digital marketing platform to talk to your own. And you said a smaller shop. I assume we're talking about a smaller shop, like an ad agency kind of shop. These folks would like to be nothing more than your partner in being able to talk to clients about this stuff. So who are they? DoubleClick. DoubleClick's one. DoubleClick is a large company, owned by Google now. Turn is another one that's out there. So that, I guess, would be my best advice. If you're a smaller shop, I would say go out and seek your partners who kind of specialize in these different areas, these other companies that you can partner with, and bring these solutions together.
Great. Laura, I should also mention we've had more than a few people, instead of asking a question, or just chatting in to say thank you for this presentation. We're already getting some feedback that apparently people found this really useful. So thanks again for your time. Last chance, everybody. If you have another question, feel free to type it in. We got just a few minutes remaining here. I will go ahead and mention one plug. Karen texted in to let us know that BU's Metropolitan College is actually going to be launching a new certificate program in data analytics in the coming months. And so certainly relevant to what we were talking about today. And if anybody's interested in checking it out, I would recommend going to the Metropolitan College website at BU, which I believe is bu.edu/MET. It seems like all the questions we've got. So Laura, thank you so much. I mean, between today's presentation and you actually gave us permission to record this and make it available on our website, I know that you're going to have a tremendous impact on hundreds of BU alumni in helping them further their careers. So really, I can't thank you enough. I know that you spent quite a bit of time getting this presentation ready today, so thank you. I also want to thank everybody for participating. I hope that you found value in our webinar today and that you'll join us for our next session. That's going to be July 15th, when alumna Stephanie Traeger is going to be presenting a session called The Secret Art of Leadership, More Impact, Income, and Purpose in Your Life. You can actually go ahead and register for that webinar today on our website, bu.edu/alumni, and you can also access I made reference to our recorded on-demand webinars. Those are all available as a really great library on our website, so I encourage everybody to check that out. As always, if you or any BU alumni would be interested in presenting a session like this and joining our group of amazing volunteers like Laura to present a session for the BU alumni community, feel free to contact us and the Alumni Relations Office by email at alumni@bu.edu. Again, thank you everybody for your time. Laura, thank you so much, and I hope to see you. Yeah, appreciate it. And I hope to see everybody at future alumni events. Take care.